My name is Emily Quellet. I went to a lunch and learn in 2018 and then fell in love with Wedgwood, put in an application for the Next Gen board that same year, and then started my first term in 2019.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's been great.
So can you describe a little bit of what the Next Gen board is?
Yeah, so the Next Gen board, it's young professionals, all very like-minded, servant attitude, and we meet and just talk about how to advance Wedgwood's mission through our networks, through friends, family, church groups, anything like that. We just talk about the services that they offer and how we as young professionals, the next generation kind of coming up into the professional world, how we can help and advance Wedgwood's mission.
That's wonderful. And you are going to be one of our co-chairs starting in 2022, which is really exciting. We're so happy to have you kind of steering the ship a little.
Absolutely. I will be co-chair with Lindsay Gibbons. Her and I are very excited. I think from the past couple of years that I've been on just a board member, I think we're all very hungry. That's something that is great to have, but I think we just need more avenues to get connected, especially with COVID happening and everything there. We've just kind of been a little bit disengaged, and I think everyone's ready, just to have events and everything like that. Everyone's ready to get more connected and just be more involved. That's something that's so special about the Next Gen board is that everyone just has such a passion for Wedgwood, and we just want to do as much as we can. So I think the next couple of years that I have the privilege to be co-chair, I think it's going to be about just getting everyone more involved, and whoever wants to get more involved, let's get them connected. So we're very excited for that. Oh,
wonderful. You can tell the energy.
Yes. Yes,
so exciting.
It is.
So what does being a Next Gen board member mean to you?
For me, it's advancing the mission of Wedgwood. So my background growing up, I didn't grow up with a lot. My parents both worked multiple jobs to get us, to have food, at the table at the end of the day. And the easy route for us is just giving up, right? So for me, it's about it's connecting our experiences to the clients in Wedgwood's care. So these kids, kids, teens, adults, whatever, they've been through so much in their life, just like most of us. A lot of us have gone through some stuff. They have some significant trauma too. And it's just connecting with them, providing that support, right? They have to put in the hard work to not give up. And that's something that I think all of us have experienced, especially growing, trying to get into our careers. The easy thing is to give up. And so these clients in Wedgwood's care, for them, the easy thing is to give up, and they have to put in so much hard work. And so I think for me, just being a Next Gen board member is just being there and telling the community, hey, we're here for you too. And then really putting the word out, to our networks and, church groups and family members and all that, just telling them what we're passionate about. And it's just helping the community out.
And what has become clear to you about Wedgwood during your time on the board? Oh my
gosh. The passion. We have staff members coming to our board meetings, and they kind of just talk about what they do in their department. And every time a staff member comes on, it's you can tell their passion. And most of them, it's oh, I've been here for 20 years. Yep, been here 25 years. Been here for 30 years. And that consistency for the people that come to Wedgwood's care, that's amazing. I'm hearing some of the stories from past conversations. They've had people message them on Facebook, and it's you helped me out 15 years ago and you're still working there. That consistency is just amazing. And I think the passion that the staff has, that the board members have, that's something that's been just so evident.
How do you describe Wedgwood to friends and people in your circles of influence?
So it's so funny. It actually relates to my sister. My sister, she has her master's in social work. Her and I are the only two in our extended family to ever graduate college. So she does this, she created and developed this program called emotional strength training. So what that is so if you think about normal strength training, you go to the gym, you work out, right? You build muscle, right? It takes time, consistency, dedication. Emotional strength training is exercising and self-compassion. So it's teaching yourself how to be kind to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're our own worst critic, right? So it's creating that atmosphere of self-compassion so that you have the resiliency to get through anything. So for me, Wedgwood, we're the emotional strength trainers
Mm-hmm.
for our community. Like, that's just the coolest thing for me is like building and growing that emotional muscle. That's what these kids are learning, and teens and in adults, that's what they're learning, is how to be kind to themselves, how to practice in self-compassion so that they have the resiliency to get through not only what they've been through, but what's coming, you know, in real life as well. So that's how I explain it, is we're the emotional strength trainers. You know, we're here through God's word too, you know, all of that stuff. It's all very, very important. So yeah, that's it's just a funny way of how I kind of bridge that gap. But I just think, you know, that's what Wedgwood is. They're trainers, you know, to help grow the minds and practice in that self-compassion and love for yourself.
Oh, beautifully said, Emily. That was beautiful. So what makes you remain committed to Wedgwood's mission?
I just have a passion, and I think every single staff member does, and every single board member does, of just helping and just being there for our community. I think that my past and my background just really pushes me towards being an example, right? So for me, like I said, not growing up with much and, you know, education, you know, my people in my family, a lot of them haven't even graduated high school. So for me, it's been that resiliency that I just said, you know, I've had to have that. In my own life, I've had to have that resiliency and to be able to get through it. And so that's just kind of how I relate to that.
Yeah. So being an example is such a important role for the Next Gen board, not only for the community, but also the kids we serve.
Absolutely. And I think that's what kind of funnels me or fuels me to keep going is I did it, and I'm nothing, you know, I'm not this crazy special person. You know, we're all humans and we're all the same, and God created us all in his image, and we're, you know, that's who we are. None of us are like closer to God. We're all on the equal playing field. So if I can do it, anyone can do it. And so that's what I want to show them too. It's like, especially with the volunteering, you know, when I do come on campus and I can't interact with them, it's like, I'm not special either. Like, we're all special, right? But in our head, you know, in our minds, it's like, well, I'm nobody. But look what you can accomplish if you just change your mindset and like, hey, I am somebody and I can do this, you know? So I think hearing like when the Wedgwood clients are like, you know what, I can do it. That's where that like emotional strength comes from. And they just like, that's the ultimate goal.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So you maybe touched on this a little bit, but how has your relationship with Wedgwood impacted your faith?
Yeah. I think it's just made it so much stronger for me. It's like everything you read in the Bible and everything that you practice, like it just makes it so much more real, you know, seeing it in real time. I think the volunteering efforts too have just been, you know, really changed your mindset. You know, you hear about the clients in the care, you hear about it and you hear their stories and it's heartbreaking. But once you get to actually know them, puts it to like a whole, you know, whole nother level. And so for me, it's just like we get to practice what God teaches us to do. And, you know, for me, it's all about love, showing love. And you can show love. It's not like the romantic love, right? It's the agape love, that unconditional love. You're showing that. You can show that in work. You can show that in all your personal relationships. You can show that to the clients in Wedgwood's care. So,
why do you think it is important for people, especially young adults, to be actively involved in their community?
Community is so important to me. I think that your community are your peers, right? They grew up in a similar environment to you, and we're all, like I said, we're all human beings, right? We're all the same, and we're just so, you know, being in the community, we're so connected. Even though we don't realize it, we're all so connected. So it's funny for me, like anytime I go to the grocery store, I'm like, oh, I know you. Oh yeah, you're related to so-and-so, and you're related to so-and-so. And so it's like, we're all so connected. And that's giving back to your community, is giving back to your fellow peers and people that, you know, your mom's cousins, brothers, whatever, like they all know each other. And it's all just this connected community that we just, I don't know, I just have a passion for that, for just giving back to who made us, you know, that's where we come from.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like where we currently are too. Yes. So the health of the community
Absolutely.
Is, important to everyone in the community.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you have a most impactful Wedgwood moment?
Ooh, most impactful Wedgwood moment. I would say I was able to tutor a student in the DeVos home. I did that every Thursday for quite a while, several months. And that was my first real one-on-one experience with someone in Wedgwood's care, and kind of hearing the background and the history. And I was just there to help tutor him to read, right? That's all I was there for. But it just became so much more than that, for me, for the kid. And that was just to be able to play a small role in someone's life. Like, that's amazing to think about, right? Like, that's a person. And so you think about that story, the starfish, there's a bunch of starfish that are on the beach, and this kid's throwing one back at a time, and someone's like, what are you doing? You're never going to get to them all. He's like, well, that just made a difference in that one's life that I just threw back. So it's just like that, it's making a difference in someone's life. And for me, that was that client there. So.
And I love that it was like, you weren't providing like the treatment or anything.
Nope, not at all.
You were just spending time with the kid, there, helping him with his schoolwork. So it's all the little things that add up too.
Absolutely.
I love that. What is one thing you think would surprise people to know about Wedgwood?
I think all of the services that they offer. I think that people are just like, oh, Wedgwood. Actually, someone's like, oh, is that a church? Like, they didn't even know what it was. So I think all the services. For me, I just learned recently about the prevention services. So many of these residential homes are reactive, meaning, oh, has this person tried a suicide? Have they done a suicide attempt? No. Okay, well, we can't take them yet. When they do, call us. Right? That's reactive. I hate that. Just really stirs me. Being proactive or preventative services are like, let's get to them before that happens. The funding's not there for that, state funding. Like, that's not what that's for. But Wedgwood has that. They have a prevention services where they're in the schools right now. They have like teen charge. I've heard other teens are talking about like mental health and bringing up like a safe space to talk. Like, that for me is just, I didn't know that Wedgwood already had that. And that for me is just so powerful, because why do we have to wait till something happens? Why do we have to wait till something bad happens to intervene in someone's life? Like, let's do it now. Let's teach everyone to be kind to each other, especially these young kids, that are growing up in school, and you've got the bullying and all of that. Like, it just breaks your heart. And then you hear it's too late. Someone that age committed suicide. Well, what could we have done before that? So I love, love, love that Wedgwood has that preventative service already in place.
Yeah, the continuum of care that Wedgwood offers is really rather impressive. It's at every stage where a kid or a family might be. And I think with kind of going back to with your impactful moment with having the relationship with the kid, I think the preventative part of it is also, relating with the people in your own life and in your community and how those relationships can really have an impact.
Absolutely.
On the people around you.
And like you said, Wedgwood's care, it's preventative all the way to aftercare. So it's like this whole cycle, and it just kind of continues, and they don't forget about anyone. It's not like, we'll come here, okay, bye, good luck. It's not like that. They're just, and that comes from the passion with the people, right? We're all just so passionate about what we do and what Wedgwood does, and that's where that stems from.
So what brings you joy in your work, your personal life here at Wedgwood, just in general?
Always has been serving others. Always. I mean, that's how I've been since I was young. Just serving, and for me, it's being kind and being compassionate and showing God's love. I mean, for me, it's just so, so, so important that you might not have parental figures that were in your life, or you might not have the best this or the best that, but God has always been there, and He has always loved you, and His love is greater than any other love that you'll ever experience. So for me, it's just sharing that, and not necessarily like shoving it down anyone's throat, but it's showing that through our actions. Through, wow, you're really happy. What's going on? You've got joy. Why? I love helping people, and I love serving. And I think that's why this Next Gen board was something that really appealed to me, because it's like, how can I use the services or the gifts that God gave me to help Wedgwood and spread the word about us, because all we do is help. That's all any of us want to do.
Well, we are so grateful to have you on the board and ready to lead the charge for the next few years on the Next Gen board. So thank you so much for your time today and for advocating so boldly for Wedgwood and our community.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it, and I thank Wedgwood for having me. It's been great.